The morning sun cast long shadows across the military airfield as Technical Sergeant Maria Rodriguez approached the A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft. The massive plane sat like a sleeping giant. Its twin engines and distinctive straight wings, making it one of the most recognizable aircraft in the Air Force fleet. Maria had been working on these planes for over 8 years, but today felt different somehow. Colonel James Mitchell watched from his office window as the ground crew prepared for the day's maintenance schedule. He had been commanding this base for 3 years and prided himself on knowing every person under his command. Rodriguez was one of his best technicians. Always professional, always precise. Her work on the A-10's GAU-8 Avenger cannon system was legendary among the maintenance crews. Maria climbed up to the aircraft's nose section where the massive 30mm cannon was housed. The GAU-8 was a beast of a weapon, weighing over 4,000 pounds and capable of firing depleted uranium rounds at 3,900 rounds per minute. It was her specialty, and she approached it with the respect such a powerful weapon demanded. Today's job was routine maintenance, checking the feed system, and ensuring the rotating barrels were properly aligned. As she began removing the access panels, her sleeves rode up slightly. The fabric of her work uniform shifted, revealing just a hint of something dark against her skin. Maria quickly adjusted her sleeves and continued working, unaware that Colonel Mitchell had decided to make his morning rounds and was approaching her aircraft. The colonel's boots echoed on the tarmac as he walked the flight line. He made it a point to personally check on major maintenance operations, especially those involving weapons systems. The A-10 was the backbone of their close air support missions, and he wanted to ensure everything was perfect. "Good morning, Sergeant Rodriguez," Colonel Mitchell called out as he reached the aircraft. "How's our warthog looking today?" Maria looked down from her position near the cannon. "Good morning, sir. Everything's running smoothly. Just performing the scheduled inspection on the GAU-8 feed mechanism." Her voice was steady and professional, as always. The colonel nodded and moved closer to observe her work. Maria was known for her attention to detail, and he enjoyed watching skilled technicians at work. As she reached deeper into the weapon system, stretching to access a difficult component, her uniform sleeve pulled back again. This time, Colonel Mitchell caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a tattoo on her forearm. Military regulations were strict about visible tattoos, especially for non-commissioned officers. He frowned slightly, making a mental note to address this later in private. "Sergeant, I need you to show me the feed mechanism alignment," he said, stepping onto the maintenance platform beside her. Maria maneuvered to demonstrate the system, pointing out various components. As she gestured, explaining the intricate workings of the cannon, her sleeves shifted once more. The colonel's attention was drawn to her arm, where he could now see more of the dark markings beneath her uniform. "Sergeant Rodriguez," he said quietly, his tone becoming more serious. "I believe we need to discuss uniform regulations." Maria's heart sank. She had been so careful for years to keep her tattoos covered. Military policy had relaxed somewhat regarding tattoos, but hers were different. They weren't just decorative art. They told a story that could change everything about how her colleagues and superiors viewed her. "Sir, I can explain," she began, but the colonel raised his hand. "Not here. Finish your work and report to my office at 1,400 hours. We'll discuss this privately." The rest of Maria's shift passed in a blur of anxiety. She had always known this day might come, but she had hoped it never would. Her tattoos weren't visible in standard uniform, but the physical demands of aircraft maintenance sometimes required movements that could expose them. As she worked, her mind wandered to the story behind the ink that decorated her skin. Each mark represented a chapter of her life that she had tried to leave behind when she joined the military. But the past has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply buried. Her fellow technicians noticed her distraction. Airman First Class Tommy Chen, who had been working alongside her for 2 years, approached during their lunch break. "Hey Maria, you okay?" "You seem pretty shaken up about something." "Just tired," she replied, forcing a smile. "Long morning." But Tommy wasn't convinced. He had seen the colonel talking to her earlier and noticed the serious expression on both their faces. In the tight-knit community of the maintenance crew, word traveled fast when someone was called to see the commanding officer. As 1,400 hours approached, Maria found herself standing outside Colonel Mitchell's office, her palms sweaty despite the air conditioning. She had rehearsed what she would say dozens of times, but the words felt inadequate. "How do you explain a past that you've spent years trying to escape?" She knocked on the door and heard the colonel's voice call for her to enter. The office was spartanly decorated, with military commendations on the walls and a photo of Colonel Mitchell with his family on his desk. He gestured for her to take a seat across from his desk. "Sergeant Rodriguez," he began, his tone measured but not unkind. "I observed what appeared to be unauthorized tattoos during this morning's maintenance operation. As you know, military regulations require prior approval for visible tattoos, and they must not be excessive or inappropriate." Maria sat straighter in her chair. "Yes, sir. I understand the regulations. I need you to show me exactly what we're dealing with here," the colonel continued. "Depending on the nature and extent of these tattoos, we may need to discuss your future with this unit." With trembling hands, Maria began to roll up her sleeves. As the fabric moved up her arms, an intricate network of tattoos was revealed. But these weren't random designs or typical military-themed artwork. What emerged was a detailed map with coordinates, dates, and symbols that told a very specific story. Colonel Mitchell's expression changed from stern disapproval to intense curiosity, then to something approaching shock. He leaned forward in his chair, studying the markings more carefully. "Sergeant, these aren't ordinary tattoos," he said slowly. "These appear to be operational markings?" Maria met his gaze directly for the first time since entering the office. "Yes, sir. They are." The room fell silent except for the hum of the air conditioning unit. Colonel Mitchell stood and walked around his desk, examining the tattoos more closely. What he saw defied easy explanation. The coordinates corresponded to locations he recognized from classified briefings. The symbols were consistent with special operations designations. And the dates. The dates aligned with military actions that were supposed to be known only to a very select few. "Sergeant Rodriguez," he said quietly, "I think you need to tell me exactly who you are and where these came from." Maria took a deep breath. She had known this moment would eventually arrive, but she hadn't expected it to happen while she was servicing an A-10 cannon on a routine Tuesday morning. The secret she had carried for 8 years was finally coming to light, and there was no going back. "Sir, I need to inform you that my current assignment may not reflect my complete service record," she began carefully. "There are aspects of my background that were classified at a level above your current clearance. When I was assigned to this unit," Colonel Mitchell felt the ground shifting beneath him. In his years of military service, he had encountered classified operations and hidden personnel records, but never in his own maintenance crew. He returned to his seat, realizing this conversation was about to become far more complex than a simple uniform violation. "Continue, Sergeant." Maria looked down at her exposed arms, at the permanent record of missions she was supposed to never speak about. Each symbol, each coordinate, each date, represented a moment when everything had been on the line. And now, years later, they were about to change her life once again. "Sir, before I can proceed, I need to make a secure call to verify my authorization to brief you on this matter. The tattoos you see represent operational security information that requires special handling procedures." The colonel nodded slowly, beginning to understand that he had stumbled into something far beyond a routine disciplinary matter. He gestured toward his secure phone line. As Maria reached for the phone, both of them realized that the next few minutes would fundamentally alter everything they thought they knew about her service record, her capabilities, and her true purpose at the base. The afternoon sun streamed through the office window as Maria dialed a number she had memorized years ago but hoped never to use again. The person who answered would either authorize her to reveal the truth or order her to maintain the cover that had protected her for nearly a decade. Either way, Colonel Mitchell was about to learn that his best aircraft maintenance technician was hiding secrets that reached the highest levels of military command. The secure phone rang 3 times before a voice answered. Maria spoke in a calm, measured tone, using code words that Colonel Mitchell didn't recognize. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes, but the colonel could see the tension in Maria's shoulders gradually ease as she spoke. "Yes, sir. Understood. Authorization granted for Level 4 briefing," she said, before hanging up the phone. Colonel Mitchell had never heard of a Level 4 briefing. In his 22 years of military service, he had held top-secret clearance and been involved in highly classified operations. But this was new territory. "Colonel, I have permission to brief you on my background. But first I need to verify your security clearance level and confirm your need-to-know status," Maria said, her entire demeanor having shifted. Gone was the nervous technician facing discipline. In her place sat someone who spoke with quiet authority and confidence. The colonel provided his clearance information, and Maria made another call, this time speaking directly to someone in the Pentagon. After a series of verification questions, she was given the green light to proceed. "Sir, my real name is Maria Elena Rodriguez Santos, and I hold the rank of Major in United States Army Special Operations," she began. "For the past 8 years, I have been operating under deep cover as an Air Force technical sergeant as part of a joint intelligence operation." Colonel Mitchell felt as though the world had tilted on its axis. The woman sitting across from him, whom he had known as one of his most reliable maintenance technicians, was actually a field-grade officer conducting covert operations on his own base. "The tattoos you observed contain encoded information about successful missions conducted between 2016 and 2017, Maria continued. "Each coordinate represents a high-value target that was eliminated or captured. The symbols indicate mission type and operational parameters. The dates correspond to mission completion." She rolled up her sleeves completely, revealing the full extent of the artwork that covered both forearms. What the colonel had initially thought were random tattoos were actually a comprehensive operational record encoded in ink. "Why tattoos?" he asked, still struggling to process this information. "Traditional record-keeping was compromised during a mission in Syria," Maria explained. "Our unit was infiltrated, and written records were being intercepted. 3 of my teammates were killed because someone leaked their identities. The decision was made to encode critical mission data in a format that would be overlooked by enemy forces. Permanent body art that appears decorative but is actually functional intelligence." Colonel Mitchell examined the tattoos more closely. Now that he knew what to look for, he could see the systematic organization. Coordinates were disguised as decorative borders. Mission codes were incorporated into what appeared to be tribal designs. Success indicators were hidden within seemingly random geometric patterns. "How many people know about this?" he asked. "Fewer than 20 people in the entire military chain of command are aware of my true identity and mission here," she replied. "My cover assignment was designed to be completely authentic. I actually am qualified as an aircraft maintenance technician. I attended all the required schools and earned every certification legitimately. What exactly is your mission on my base?" Maria paused, choosing her words carefully. "I was initially deployed here to investigate security breaches in weapons maintenance protocols. There were concerns that sensitive information about A-10 weapon systems was being leaked to foreign intelligence services. My job was to identify the source and methodology of the leaks." The colonel's mind raced. "Did you find anything?" "The investigation was completed 2 years ago. The leak was identified and addressed through appropriate channels. However, my superiors decided to maintain my cover position for potential future operations. So for the past 2 years, you've been..." "What? Just maintaining aircraft?" For the first time since beginning her briefing, Maria smiled. "Aircraft maintenance is precise, challenging, and directly supports mission success. It's not that different from special operations in many ways." Colonel Mitchell stood and walked to his window, looking out at the flight line where Maria's aircraft sat. Everything looked the same as it had that morning, but his understanding of his command had been completely transformed. Major Rodriguez Santos, he said, using her real rank for the first time. What happens now? That depends on several factors, she replied. My cover has been compromised, at least partially. The question is whether it can be maintained, or if I need to be reassigned. Who else saw the tattoos this morning? No one else was close enough to see details, but several people saw you call me to your office for what appeared to be a disciplinary meeting. Airman Chen asked if I was okay. The colonel nodded. Chen was a good kid, but he was also curious and talkative. If word spread that Rodriguez had been called in for tattoo violations, people would start looking more closely at her appearance. I need to make some calls, Colonel Mitchell said. This is well above my authority level. In the meantime, can you continue your normal duties? Yes, sir. But I recommend we develop a cover story for this meeting. Perhaps you were discussing my potential for advancement? Or selection for additional training? The colonel was impressed by her quick thinking. Good idea. I'll note in my log that we discussed your application for the Advanced Aircraft Systems course at Shepherd Air Force Base. As Maria prepared to leave, Colonel Mitchell had one more question. Major, in your professional assessment, how secure is my base? She considered the question carefully. Your personnel are dedicated and professional. Your physical security measures are adequate, but not exceptional. Your information security protocols have some vulnerabilities, mainly in the area of personal electronic devices and social media usage by junior personnel. Anything I should be immediately concerned about? There's one issue that requires attention, but it's not directly related to my original mission, she said. I've observed some irregularities in ammunition inventories that suggest either administrative errors or possible theft. It's probably just paperwork problems, but it should be investigated. Colonel Mitchell made a note to look into the ammunition discrepancies. If Major Rodriguez Santos had noticed something during her time maintaining weapons systems, it was worth investigating. After she left his office, the colonel sat alone, trying to process everything he had learned. His best aircraft technician was actually a decorated special operations officer conducting covert missions. The routine tattoo violation he thought he was addressing had revealed a world of classified operations and hidden identities. He picked up his secure phone and dialed the number for his superior, General Patricia Hayes, at Air Combat Command. This was definitely above his pay grade. General Hayes, this is Colonel Mitchell. I need to report a significant development regarding classified personnel on my base. The conversation that followed lasted over an hour. General Hayes was already aware of Major Rodriguez Santos's assignment, but was surprised that her cover had been compromised. She ordered an immediate security review and requested a full report on the circumstances of the discovery. Meanwhile, Maria returned to the flight line and resumed her work on the A-10. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, but her mind was elsewhere. After 8 years of living a double life, the relief of partial disclosure was overwhelming. She no longer had to worry about accidentally revealing her tattoos or slipping up with a comment that showed too much knowledge about classified operations. Airman Chen approached as she was closing up the aircraft panels. So, how did it go with the colonel? He asked with genuine concern. Better than expected, she replied honestly. He was asking about my interest in advanced training opportunities. That's great. You definitely deserve a chance to move up. You know more about these systems than anyone. If only he knew how much, Maria thought to herself. As the day shift ended, Maria found herself walking past Colonel Mitchell's office. Through the window, she could see him on the phone, gesturing emphatically. She knew he was dealing with the implications of her revelation, working with higher command to determine next steps. Her phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Maintain current cover. New orders coming within 24 hours. The message deleted itself automatically after she read it, a feature of the specialized phone she carried for covert communications. Whatever happened next, Maria knew that her peaceful years of relative anonymity were coming to an end. The skills that had made her one of the military's most effective special operations officers were about to be needed again. As she drove home to her small apartment off base, she wondered if Colonel Mitchell truly understood what he had stumbled into. Her tattoos were just the visible portion of a much larger story, one that involved international intelligence operations, foreign threats to American military technology, and secrets that could reshape understanding of modern warfare. The next morning would bring new challenges, new missions, and new risks. But for now, she was grateful to have one person who knew the truth about who she really was and what she had sacrificed in service to her country. 24 hours after her cover was partially blown, Major Maria Rodriguez Santos received her new orders through encrypted channels. She was to report to a secure briefing room at 0600 hours, along with Colonel Mitchell. What she discovered there would change everything once again. The briefing room was located in a section of the base that most personnel never accessed. Colonel Mitchell arrived first, still processing the events of the previous day. He had spent most of the night on secure calls with Pentagon officials, trying to understand his role in what was apparently a much larger operation. Maria entered precisely at 0600, followed by two individuals the colonel didn't recognize. The woman appeared to be in her 40s, with the bearing of someone accustomed to command. The man was younger, perhaps early 30s, with the watchful eyes of an intelligence operative. Colonel Mitchell, I'm General Sarah Davidson, from Defense Intelligence Agency, the woman said. This is Agent Robert Chen from NSA. We're here to brief you both on Operation Silent Shield. The colonel noted that Agent Chen shared a surname with one of his airmen, but he filed that observation away for later consideration. General Davidson activated a secure projection system, and classified documents appeared on the wall screen. Major Rodriguez Santos, your cover mission here was successful, but it has revealed a much larger threat than we initially suspected. Maria straightened in her chair. She had suspected her ammunition. Inventory observations were part of something bigger. The discrepancies you noted in weapons and ammunition tracking are not administrative errors. Agent Chen continued. They're part of a sophisticated operation to steal advanced military technology and sell it to hostile foreign governments. A new slide appeared, showing surveillance photos of base personnel, some of whom the colonel recognized immediately. The operation involves at least 3 individuals currently stationed at this base, General Davidson said. Master Sergeant William Torres from the Armory, Captain Lisa Park from Logistics, and civilian contractor David Morrison from the Electronics Maintenance Section. Colonel Mitchell felt sick. These were people he had worked with, people he trusted. Torres had been at the base for 5 years and was scheduled for promotion. Park had an exemplary service record. Morrison had security clearance and access to sensitive aircraft systems. How long has this been going on? He asked. We believe approximately 18 months, Agent Chen replied. The operation is sophisticated, with multiple layers designed to avoid detection. They're not just stealing weapons. They're photographing technical specifications, copying software, and providing detailed intelligence about American military capabilities. Maria studied the surveillance photos. What's my role in stopping this? General Davidson smiled grimly. Major, you're going to help us catch them in the act. Your cover as Sergeant Rodriguez is perfect for this operation. You have access to the weapons systems they're targeting, and your maintenance duties give you legitimate reasons to be in all the areas where theft is occurring. A new slide showed the timeline for the operation. They had 3 weeks to gather evidence and coordinate arrests. The challenge, Agent Chen explained, is that we need to catch them with stolen materials while maintaining the security of ongoing classified programs. If they suspect they're under investigation, they'll destroy evidence and disappear. Colonel Mitchell leaned forward. What do you need from me? Your cooperation in maintaining Major Rodriguez Santos's cover story, and your help in providing access to areas and information that will allow us to document the theft operation. General Davidson replied. There's one more complication, Maria said. Airman First Class Tommy Chen has been asking questions about my meeting with Colonel Mitchell yesterday. He's noticed changes in my behavior. Agent Chen looked up sharply. Tommy Chen is my younger brother. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. The odds of such a coincidence seemed impossible. Agent Chen, General Davidson said slowly, this presents both a problem and an opportunity. Your brother's curiosity could compromise the operation, but his position as a trusted member of the maintenance crew could also be valuable. Absolutely not, Agent Chen said firmly. Tommy is not trained for covert operations, and involving him would put him at serious risk. With respect, Agent Chen, Maria interjected, your brother is already at risk. If the theft ring suspects that anyone is getting close to their operation, they won't hesitate to eliminate threats. Tommy's questions about my meeting with the colonel could make him a target. Colonel Mitchell saw the logic in her argument. What are you suggesting? We bring Tommy into the operation in a limited capacity. Tell him enough to keep him safe and use his natural curiosity to our advantage, Maria explained. He already knows something unusual is happening. It's better to control that knowledge than let it develop independently. Agent Chen struggled with the decision. His brother had joined the Air Force to serve his country. But this wasn't the kind of service he had envisioned for him. What would his role be? He asked reluctantly. General Davidson consulted her notes. Airman Chen works closely with Sergeant Rodriguez on aircraft maintenance. He could observe and report unusual activities around the weapons systems without appearing suspicious. His questions about recent events could be redirected into intelligence gathering. I can protect him, Maria said quietly. I've been doing this for over a decade. I won't let anything happen to your brother. After extensive discussion, they developed a modified plan. Tommy Chen would be brought into the operation, but only after psychological evaluation and abbreviated training. His role would be limited to observation and communication, with no direct confrontation or evidence gathering. The briefing continued for another 2 hours, covering operational security, communication protocols, and emergency procedures. Each member of the team received specialized equipment and detailed assignments. As they prepared to leave, General Davidson pulled Colonel Mitchell aside. Colonel, I want you to understand the significance of what we're asking. This operation could expose a major breach in American military security. The technology being stolen includes guidance systems for precision munitions, targeting software for close air support aircraft, and communication encryption protocols. The weight of responsibility settled on the colonel's shoulders. General, what happens if we fail? If we fail, hostile foreign governments will have access to some of our most advanced military technology. American forces in combat zones will face enemies who know exactly how our weapons work and how to defeat them. Meanwhile, Maria was having her own conversation with Agent Chen. Your brother is a good person, she told him. He genuinely cares about the people he works with, and he notices when something isn't right. Those are exactly the qualities we need for this operation. He's all the family I have left, Agent Chen said quietly. Our parents died when he was 16. I've been looking out for him ever since. I understand. I lost my entire special operations team in Syria. I know what it means to protect the people who matter to you. Over the following days, the operation began to take shape. Tommy Chen was briefed on his role and sworn to secrecy. His initial shock at learning his maintenance supervisor was actually a special operations major was quickly replaced by determination to help protect his country and his colleagues. Colonel Mitchell found himself adapting to a new reality where his base was the center of a major counterintelligence operation. Every interaction with suspected personnel had to appear normal while actually being carefully observed and documented. Maria continued her maintenance duties while secretly gathering evidence of the theft ring's activities. She discovered that the stolen technology was being passed through a network of civilian contractors and then shipped overseas through military mail systems. The break in the case came during a routine inspection of ammunition storage facilities. Maria observed Master Sergeant Torres photographing serial numbers of advanced missiles with a concealed camera. Working with Tommy Chen, they documented the theft without alerting Torres to their surveillance. As the evidence mounted, it became clear that the theft ring was planning a major operation to steal and transfer an entire advanced targeting system. The technology was worth millions of dollars and could significantly compromise American military advantages in future conflicts. With only days remaining before the planned theft, the team prepared for the final phase of Operation Silent Shield. The arrests would need to be coordinated perfectly to capture all members of the ring simultaneously and prevent the destruction of evidence. Maria looked at her tattoos one final time before rolling down her sleeves. Soon, she would add new coordinates, new dates, and new symbols representing another successful mission. But this time, the mission had been conducted not in a foreign combat zone, but on an American military base, protecting her fellow service members from threats within their own ranks. The morning of the final operation, Colonel Mitchell stood once again at his office window, watching the flight line. This time, he knew exactly who Maria Rodriguez Santos really was, and he understood that her unique combination of special operations skills and technical expertise made her the perfect person to protect his base and his people. As the sun rose over the airfield, the team prepared to close the net on a theft ring that threatened American military security. The secret tattoo that had started everything would soon represent another victory in the ongoing battle to protect classified military technology from those who would sell it to America's enemies.